Hi, Cubs. Today we're going to get started with our new book for shared reading, part of the same series, Different Disgusting Critter. It's called The Bat. So, before you even start this book, that you need to have a teaching voice and you need to have a voice for the bat. So, right now, get your mind in ready and think about your bat voice and let's read this. What's up? All right, very good. You, of course, could have read that bat any way you'd like, right? All right, here we go. First time reading it. Oh, first time opening it, even. I see as soon as I open it, there's a huge word. This is a scientific word. I can tell by the way it looks, because it even says, and if I read forward, I can see scientific name. So I've got to think about how to pronounce this word. And I actually am going to use my handy dandy post-it and my pen to write some words down for you that I already know. So I, believe it or not, have already seen a lot of words with this at the back of it, this OPTERA. As a Science Olympiad coach, I coached an event about insects. And when we talk about insects, the order name, which is a fancy scientific name, a lot of their scientific names has this OPTERA at the end. Like a beetle's special scientific name is Coloptera. And a bee's special and an ant and a wasp's special scientific name is Hymenoptera. So I know this OPTERA is Optera. And I also know that means wings. It's Latin. Latin is like a language that a lot of other languages are based on, but nobody really speaks Latin anymore. And I know the beginning of this word reminds me of another word. It reminds me of a doctor that I go to called the chiropractor. It's a guy who uses his hands to help put my bones in a better place. And the beginning of that word is chiro. So if I think about what I know about the Optera part and what I know about the chiro part, if we put that together, I think this is Chiroptera or Chiroptera. I think it's Chiroptera. That sounds better than Chiroptera, right? So I think this is Chiroptera, okay? That's my guess. So let's read, but this is the first time I've read the book, the first time I've opened it, the first time I've looked at it. So that's what I base my knowledge on. Right? Ready? Let's get ready to read our book. Ready? Dear friends, I'd like to present the Chiroptera. That's his scientific name. My friends call me Bat. Of course they do. The bat is the only mammal that can fly, even though some other mammals can glide. Oh, that's a cool thing to know. Whee! Uh-oh, pig voice. Humph. Not fair. That's my pig voice. Your pig voice could be different. That's an interesting fact that only bats fly. They're the only flying mammal, but there are some other mammals who can glide, but they can't fly. Very interesting. Oh, look at this. I didn't know this. I haven't read this book before. Chiro comes from an ancient Greek word that means hand. And ptera comes from a word that means wing. Huh? The word chiroptera tells us that the bat's hands are used as wings. Well, I didn't know that. If I had read the book first, I wouldn't have gone through all of that with all of our words. These stems are his fingers. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, and that's its thumb? Cool. I didn't know that either. Not bad, huh? You try flying with your fingers. That is so cool. I didn't know that was his fingers. But I guess that makes sense. If I look at just like this part, it kind of does look like fingers. If I only look at the black lines, right? It looks like an arm with hands and fingers. Very cool. There are more than 1,200 species of bats. The smallest measures about 1.2 inches or 3 centimeters. Pause. It's like that big. Like that big. That's very small. It's like, like that big. The largest can measure up to 5.5 feet or 1.7 meters from wingtip to wingtip. Ugh, that's like taller than Miss Candleberry. It's wing to wing. It's longer than Miss Candleberry is tall. Whoa, that is a big bat. All right, so now we got to do a different bat voice, but it's very little. Good things come in small packages. Oh, man. Oh. The bat is found pretty much everywhere around the world except in places that are very cold. I'm not really a fan of winter sports. I wonder why that is. I guess most bats feed on insects. I'm so glad. That probably helps us a lot, right? Others prefer to eat fruit. Relax, I'm a vegetarian. Whew. Some feed on small animals, and some bats can even fish. It's got to be pretty hard if you're swimming. How can they fish? That's interesting. I wish I knew. That's maybe something to look up later. All right, here we go. The bat lives in large groups and finds shelter in places like caves, trees, and the roofs of houses. He prefers to go out at night and rest during the day. He sleeps hanging upside down. Rats, I dropped my stuffy. So we're going to stop there, and I want you to pause the video, and I want you to think, what have we learned about bats? We'll go back through it in a second, but make sure you pause the video, say out loud what you learned about bats, and then we'll go review. All right, let's see if you remembered what important things we learned. So first of all, we learned that a bat's scientific name is Chiroptera, which means that hands that fly, kind of, right? And he uses his hands to fly, which is cool. And it's the only mammal that flies. Those things they're not really wings. They're kind of like they're wings, but they're also part of it. They're his wings or his fingers. There are lots of different kinds of bats. Some are really small, some are really big. They don't like to live in the cold. They eat insects or fruit, or sometimes small animals. And of course, they sleep hanging upside down during the day, because that's when they sleep. All right, very good. If that's what you said, you did an excellent job. Tomorrow we will read the second half of The Bat.